Another month has come and gone. And it is time for the September episode of Choose Our Own Adventure, man. We only have three more of these. After this, man, we are firmly in Q4 of 2020, the year
Oh
that has
wow.
lasted 9 decades.
It's true.
Swan song.
Yeah,
Just to have you know, I'm going out like a Queen Latifah and set it off. Man. Like just the blaze of glory.
Jamon burning down the podcast studio for some reason. We're not even there. All right. We have our usuals with us. You heard that voice. That is our draft champ, Mr. Jamon Jackson. How you doing today, sir?
Pretty good. I'm on gauntletless, but yeah, I'm still the champ.
Gauntletless.
Yeah. It's been you picked the worst year to finally win a draft when we cannot see each
Yeah,
other.
like finally win, and it's like, yeah.
It's that we're
That's my luck.
we're about to record the next draft, and Jamon has not been able to see his gauntlet yet. We're gonna figure out something for you. Hey, at least you got one win under the book. You got one more win than me.
Yes.
Speaking of drafts, man, we also have Mr. Brian Martin in the house. How you doing today, sir?
Good. I am not currently drinking a draft, unfortunately, but that's the only draft I'm a champion of currently is
draft beer. Nothing wrong with that. And as always, we have our fourth member of the group here, Miss Leslie Ellsworth. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am not bad. Man, let's get into it, man. We got to get into the business that we get into at the beginning of every.
Oh no, I've been dreading this for like 3 weeks now. How long ago was it? A whole?
Yeah, it's been about 34 weeks now. The in memoriam. I don't know why we decided to start doing this in the first place, but
it's getting worse and worse, like especially this year.
Yeah, we
Good
just want to be
Lord.
sad, apparently.
yeah, like next month it's going to be like, well, next month we're going to be like, well, Brian Martin's no longer with us.
Hey, we laugh now, but jeez, who knows? Who knows?
Let's start off top.
He went to that Smash Mouth concert.
Mr. Chadwick Boseman has left this world for good.
Oh man,
King Chad.
Yeah, shuffled off his mortal coil, man. Our king, man, Black Panther himself, has died to a battle with cancer, man. That's rough, man. Just knowing that he was doing all that and didn't tell his boss. That's the wild part about it for me, man. He battled through all that with he kept this shit secret.
Yeah, I think he got the diagnosis like a year before Captain America: Civil War, or something.
Really?
It was like literally like the whole time he was playing Black Panther, he was living with this.
It's
Man,
wow.
It is wild. It's just absolutely wild.
The whole thing is crazy. I mean, just all the iconic roles that dude played, man. He gave us Jackie Robinson. He gave us James Brown, right?
Yeah.
James Brown,
Thurgood Marshall.
Thurgood Marshall.
That's right, man.
Like he played nothing but iconic characters.
I was hoping he was going to do
that 21 Bridges movie. Maybe not so much there, but
Five Bloods was excellent. he was
Yes.
excellent.
Five Bloods was excellent.
Yes.
I was hoping he was going to play German at one point because
that was my pick. That was my pick to play me in a biopic.
Yeah, that one. This hurts. No idea what the state of the Black Panther side of the MCU will be. Whatever it is, I'm sure that they will go in the right direction.
Yeah,
they got plenty of time to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm basically cool with whatever they decide to do at this point. I was just thinking about it. He was one of those characters, you know how you have synonymous like Christopher Reeve is with Superman. It's like that same level with him and Black Panther. He's just like one of those iconic like roles.
Right? Didn't we got him in what Civil War, Infinity War? We're not going to count Endgame. He's got like 2 lines in Black Panther. So we only got like 4 movies out of him, but he stretched the shit out of those 4 movies.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and then on the other hand, man, Dame Diana Rigg as well. Man, that one hurts. One of the better parts of Game of Thrones. And the first Bond girl who brought some weight and substance to being a Bond girl.
Yeah, for sure. And also Emma Peel.
The original Avenger.
The quintessential female spy. man, I don't know. What a terrible loss. And also the one of the hosts of what was that show on PBS, Mystery?
What? Who? What?
Back in the 80s, PBS, 80s, 90s, they had a show on PBS called Mystery, an exclamation point at the end, and she was one of the hosts of that.
Diana Rigg was?
Yeah, Diana Rigg was one of the hosts of that. I can't remember who the male host was. There's just go back and forth. There's probably Peter Graves. But yeah, Diana Rigg was one of the. That was probably my first like encounter with Diana Rigg was on Mystery on PBS. Yeah.
Yeah,
and she just seemed like that was the first time I was consciously aware that a woman could be too good for me. And I was like maybe 8. I was maybe 8. And she comes out with this like British accent, dressed to the nines. And I'm like, yeah, is that possible that there is like a structure socially where there are certain women that are just way out of your league? Because I think this is it.
I think she was out of all of our leagues. Leslie, have you ever seen the Bond movie that she was in, On Her Majesty's Secret Service?
No, I don't think I have, sadly.
We're gonna have to get you up on that. December, if you guys remember, back in the the late '90s, all TBS did was run James Bond marathons. Like that's just all they did all day long, and I have continued that tradition on my own. Now that TBS doesn't really do it all that much because I don't think they have the rights to it anymore. But come December, I play a lot of James Bond movies, and I definitely go back to that one time to time. So
for sure, oh, that's one of the best.
Yeah, it is. It is my favorite Bond movie, and she is one of my favorite Bond women. Coincidentally, also Chris Nolan's favorite Bond movie as well.
No, well, you could tell because he like recreated a substantial part of it in Inception. I think.
Inception, yeah, the Tom Hardy level, as I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't done a Bond movie.
He's wanted to, and they've just gone in other directions. That's kind of why we got Inception. That is his Bond movie, he has stated. And also Tenet is also a nod to his love of James Bond as well, if anyone ever gets to see it.
It'll probably definitely be on a Blu-ray by the time I see it.
Same.
Theaters here do open up next weekend.
Good for them.
Here in the North Carolina areas, if you are a person brave enough, get out there and go
good for them. They can, yeah.
Good for them. You guys can go check out Tenet if you'd like. Also, I do believe they'll be reopening with Empire Strikes Back, Akira. So they're doing their best to get you Jurassic Park.
They're
doing their best to pull out. If they pull out the Dark Knight, it's over. I'm going.
All movies that your mom can watch at home.
Most of those.
Maybe. Oh, you know what? Here's what you do. I got the solution. Open with the Snyder Cut. That takes care of everything because then all the Snyder Bros are the ones who catch COVID. They can be your. Hey, speaking of the Snyder Cut, though, it's like I have never heard of a movie with a cut that was ready to be released that required $70 million in reshoots.
Not to mention whatever money they threw at him originally when the Snyder Cut was announced a couple months back. They threw money at him then, and then they threw another $70 million at him.
No. Maybe you didn't understand. You only get to work with what you have, Zach.
He was like,
but what I have was garbage. Aha!
Sounds like a scheme to milk some more money out of Warner Brothers or whatever.
No. Snyder is
$70 million.
Grifting the hell out of Warner Brothers. Right now.
It's like there are plans in his proposal for the Snyder Cut that just like slipped in on the last page for an actual money bin for him to swim around in.
It's like, no, Momoa needs it, man. I'm trying to please him.
It's all those chicken breasts he's got to eat on set. All right, then. Let's get into this, man. Questions submitted by all of you, our patrons. So if you're at the $10+ level, we thank you for your questions. If you are at the $10+ level and you didn't submit, congratulations on wasting $10 this month.
Sons of bitches. We're counting on you.
It was going to be them or Amazon.
We are literally counting on you to give us questions. But whatever. Ryan Elliott is kicking us off first. He asks, what's the best B-side Disney song? Which I didn't know was a thing. So I'm assuming he means like the song that is most associated with this movie. Not that song, but any other song in there. Leslie, why don't you kick us off with this one?
Well, originally, before I found out that our wonderful host had the same idea, I was gonna go with an Aladdin song.
Very smart woman.
But
Very Smart Woman was the best song in Aladdin. That's my favorite
song.
It's in the live action Disney.
I decided instead to go with Heffalumps and Woozles from The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Well, that's a thing? What?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's fantastic.
Okay.
Heffalumps and Woozles.
I'm going to have to look this up afterwards because I have never heard this a day in my
It is
life.
literal nightmare fuel.
Yes.
That's what it's intended to be.
I mean, I can play a clip if you want.
We're going to pass on that, ma'am.
Damn.
Heffalumps and Woozles. Okay.
Jermon can sing a little bit of it if you'd like.
Get us around those pesky copyrights. Why Heffalumps and Woozles, ma'am? What's that?
Because much like your reaction shows, a lot of people have no idea what the song is. No, I loved Winnie the Pooh and used to watch, all kinds of old Disney movies and stuff when I was younger. And even though it is a very weird song, I always loved it. It's about things that will come and steal Winnie the Pooh's honey, because it's the thing that he loves the most. And yeah, it's just a weird, catchy little song.
All right, they're weird and catchy. I am with it. Mr. Jackson, what is your go-to pick for the best Disney B-side song?
This was actually a difficult question because, I thought by the nature of being in a Disney movie, it wasn't a B-side. Because, a lot of, take Lion King, for example. Most of the songs in there are well-known outside of Be Prepared, maybe?
Yep.
But it's funny because I literally had to go on Google and found this website that had a list of every Disney song from the Disney movie. It's like 160-some songs. And I picked a song that, granted, the source of it may be problematic, but I can't front. The song has a little bop to it. So I see an elephant fly from Dumbo.
Oh,
those
okay.
racist ass crows.
Yeah, racist ass crows.
I mean, we're getting real. Most Disney movies are problematic in one way or another.
Yeah.
Up until maybe the late 90s.
A lot of it doesn't age well.
Yeah. Well, why this one in particular? It just hits you. It's got that good bop to it.
Yeah, it had that little bop. It was kind of a little jazzy thing to it. Sound like Louis Armstrong or something like that singing in there. Or
okay.
It's a pretty good song. Pretty catchy.
Had a good little vibe to it.
All right, I can dig it. I did go the Aladdin route because it's a good idea, and I'm going with "You Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me."
Oh, okay,
yes.
That's actually a different song than I would have gone with.
Mm-hmm. Both the original and the live action joint from last year, they're both pretty good. I will brook no disrespect to the live action Aladdin, by the way. Will Smith did that thing. You get to kind of know
he put a nice little spin on it.
He did put a nice little spin on it. You get to find out kind of what the genie's all about, his personality. And the original version, man, gives the animators some chance to really just flex their muscles and go all out with their shit. It's catchy and upbeat, man. I dig that joint.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the remake is how he got Cisco to join him on that track, and the rest of Drew Hill joined in. And,
I think that was Wild Wild West.
Oh yeah. Right.
Oh, I'm done already.
I wish he would have just come out and started going through that Wild Wild West thing halfway through. And he's like, no, man, it's the wrong movie.
Wrong movie. Brian, what is your go-to for Disney B-side, Joe?
This one I had within seconds. It was immediately. I'm like, well, that's it. It's from Beauty and the Beast, and I think it's especially maybe the reason I got it so quick is because it's just been especially on my mind this year, because so much of our common discourse and social constructs are kind of inspired by this or in the same vein as this, and that is Kill the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, where Gaston riles up a bunch of villagers about a thing they know nothing about, and then they get pitchforks and torches and decide to straight up murder this dude. I mean, to be fair, I thought the song was pretty awesome before this year, but I mean, like, this is like, if there was some MAGA movement in like 18th century France, all of these fuckers are up in. You know?
Yeah.
This is straight up MAGA. This is beast MAGA. Because Gaston's like, hey, yeah, this thing's gonna steal your children. He's probably gonna rape your wives. Let's get him, guys.
They're just like, fuck it, I got nothing else to do today.
Yeah.
They just.
But on the same token, like, be prepared as a close second, because I there's just something about the songs that villains sing when the villain number comes up in these Disney movies. I just always love. I'm a sucker for a good villain song. So.
Yeah,
I
was going for Poor Unfortunate Souls for a little bit, and I decided to not go that route.
Yeah, same.
I was thinking at one point. I was thinking of "There Are No Strings on Me" from Pinocchio, more or less due to Age of Ultron than anything else, because they creeped the hell out of that song. Like,
I was going to say B side from Pinocchio, A side from Age of Ultron.
If only we hadn't James Spader to do the whole musical in the middle of Age of Ultron, that would have brought the movie together.
They should have taken that to Broadway.
Taking it to Spader on Broadway to get the T and his EGOT. All right, let's keep it on the moving. Good job with your general one-sentence submission there, Mr. Elliott. This one coming from Shannon, one half of the Shannon-Scott combination. Unfortunately, the only half of the Shannon-Scott combination this month. She said a good portion of the movie The Station Agent with Pete Dinklage was filmed in my hometown of Rockaway, New Jersey. Shout out to Rockaway. I was present for some of the filming of the Time After Time Cyndi Lauper video in Wharton, New Jersey. Shout out to Cyndi Lauper. My mom knew some of the real folks in The Irishman from her life back in Pennsylvania. Talked to us about a personal hometown / beloved place connection you might have with pop culture. Did they get the town vibe right? Was the crew awesome while in town? Were the actors jerks? Probably, they always are. So I'll go ahead and kick this off, man. I can't think of any movie or show filmed in and around Charlotte where Charlotte is the actual city in question. Charlotte is just the stand-in for everything else. So unless Charlotte becomes District 11 from the Hunger Games, which is still a possibility depending on who wins this election, I really got nothing here. Outcast, the Robert Kirkman joint that was on Cinemax that just kind of came and went. I don't know anybody that actually watched it. It was filmed about an hour south of here, and yours truly was on set for that a bit.
Oh, wow.
Got to chop it up with Reg E. Cathy for a little bit before he passed, man. Dirty D, damn it.
Yes.
Y'all who don't know, his Oscar-winning performance as the villain of Pootie Tang, or one of the villains of Pootie Tang. But yeah, he was a pretty cool cat to hang out with. In South Carolina, always makes for a great backwoods country setting, which is what they were. They were kind of, the set was for a church kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is where we filmed at. What about you, Leslie? What do you have for this?
I grew up in Indiana, specifically super small town Indiana. So I went with Hoosiers, even though it's 1986 basketball film, Gene Hackman, leading a small town basketball team to glory and whatnot. And that's, even though it's set in the 50s, that's pretty much how I grew up. We went to the local high school basketball games. Like that was just a family thing that we did. Back when, before I was even in elementary school. I was just a little toddler. We're still going. And Hoosiers really caught just the excitement of Indiana small town basketball. It is something that the whole town goes for. It's something that, the stands are filled. I guess mostly it compares to football everywhere else. And I know football has gotten more popular in Indiana the older I've gotten, but it was the local basketball game you were going to. So it's, I had seen maybe Hoosiers when I was younger. Hadn't watched it as an adult, but it really does just hit all those notes. The the small town, knowing all your business, the frustrations of the parents yelling at the coach, thinking they could coach better, yelling at the refs, thinking they could ref better, all of it. Just pitch perfect. Very well done.
What I got out of that is Leslie grew up in the 50s.
I mean, 1950s small town versus 1990s small private Christian school, it about evens out.
There you go. You heard it there first. What about you, Brian?
So I grew up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and there were a few movies that were filmed in Myrtle Beach when I was a kid that I was aware of. One of them was the 1989 film Shag, which starred Bridget Fonda and Phoebe Cates, and Annabeth Gish, who went on to be a member of the X-Files team later on. But and that movie, I mean, kind of like Leslie, it's going for a like 1950s aesthetic because it's all about like shag dancing, and these kids having a weekend in Myrtle Beach. It actually does take place in Myrtle Beach. The other movie was Wild Hearts Can't Be Broken, which was released in 1991, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that when I was younger.
That was filmed in Myrtle Beach, but it didn't take place in Myrtle Beach. So it was like one of those things where it is just sort of a stand-in for, I mean, I don't know how, Myrtle Beach is pretty obvious. I guess you have to sweep all the needles off the street, and then they're like, okay, well, now this can pass for any old beach. But beyond that, more recently, a season of Eastbound and Down was filmed in Myrtle Beach with the local like farm team baseball team. Kind of, they had a team standing in for that. I can't remember the name of it now. And there was there was some episodes of Dawson's Creek filmed there because it was just from Wilmington down, you know. And my favorite, I don't even know what movie it was, but at one point, it came to my attention that Rachel Lee Cook was filming a movie in town. And I brought it up at the movie theater where I was working, and one of my coworkers, who was he was in the performing arts and stuff, and he was an extra in this movie. He was like, "Yeah, she's here. I could have told you that." But it was like the day after she had left, and I'm like, "The fuck is wrong with you? What am I supposed to do with this information now?"
She just randomly liked one of my tweets yesterday. Old Rachel.
Oh, good for her.
There. Yeah,
good for you, man. Good for you. But anyway, I mean, I think the Shag movie does sort of capture what Myrtle Beach is supposed to look like, and I'll leave it at that.
Also, I forgot the show Banshee, which I can't remember what channel Banshee was on, but
Showtime.
I think it was Showtime. Yeah, one of the favorite shows of Paprika fan Damon Hurd. It's one of his favorite shows, but it was filmed, parts of it, like 10 minutes from my parents' place. So
nice.
Every time I drive to the folks' place, I gotta pass it on the right and then pass it on the left.
Yeah, they had I think one of the producers ended up going to Rebel Base Comics one day, I guess when they were filming, because one of the characters on there was a big Star Wars fan, and they needed a bunch of like Star Wars merch, I guess, to fill his office and what have you.
Yeah, so just give me as many battle droids as you got. I don't know.
Yeah, they came and said they spent like a couple grand or whatever on Star Wars merch one day.
And that place was still cluttered after all that.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
And you know, I gotta say also regarding Charlotte, what was that? Homeland was filmed in Charlotte, like season 1 of Homeland.
Okay.
And there's an episode where you can see Zach's Hamburgers on South Boulevard.
Ah, there you go.
And you're like, I mean, and it's prominent. It's like it's almost like the entire plot of the episode revolves around Zach's Hamburgers, which is where most of our lives should revolve around. I just want to throw that out. Zach's Hamburgers is a wonderful little spot.
I don't think I've ever been there.
We gotta go check that out. There's an issue of Bendis's either Avengers or X-Men. Can't remember which one, where they had to go to Charlotte for some.
It was an issue of X-Men. There was a bank robbery. I think Mystique and the current Brotherhood of Evil Mutants rob a bank or something.
That's right. That's right.
It was an issue in all new X-Men early on in that run.
It was all new X-Men. Yeah. I was like, I don't recognize this street.
There is no Kirby Boulevard here, sir.
I didn't see any little bald white guys running around this part of town. What do you have there, Javon?
Well, my hometown is Hampton, Virginia. I lived in the Hampton Roads area most of my life. Hampton, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, all that good stuff. And in doing research for this question, I found out that, well, apparently any movie that involved like the CIA or like CIA headquarters was based in, I think it was Langley, Virginia, or Quantico.
Yeah.
And but the one movie I did find that had somewhat of a tangential connection to my area was Mission Impossible 3. Parts of that was filmed on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. Matter of fact, that scene where that was in the trailer where that missile goes off and knocks Tom Cruise into, that was supposed to be the Chesapeake Bay Bridge or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a bit of a, it's funny because I was a bit of a, being the nerd that I am, when I was watching that and, you know, seeing where they were based, I guess it was supposed to be Norfolk or wherever. I'm looking at the signs on the highway. I was like, that ain't the right interstate sign on there.
Where are you? Just yelling at the screen. Where are you?
It ain't accurate.
I had a friend.
They did film some stuff on there, some parts on there. So presumably that portion of the movie.
Nice. I have a friend who hates Harold and Kumar because Anthony Anderson tells him about the White House in Cherry Hill, Jersey. And I just remember my friend screaming, "There's no White House in Cherry Hill!" And he's never seen it again. We watched it once in theaters, and he's been lied to about there being a White Castle in Cherry Hill.
There was also one more story about cast and crew, because I know we didn't really talk about that too much, but one of my friends works at a nature center here in Charlotte, or worked up in Huntersville. And while Homeland was filming here, at one point, Mandy Patinkin was up there hiking, and he lost his like cell phone or something, and he came in, or it was like his watch. I think it was his watch, and he came in and asked like if one had been recovered, and they're like, no. He's like, well, here, let me write down my contact information if you guys find it. And they're like, you don't need to write your name down. We know who you are. You know, it's like my friend was gloating because she's like, I have Mandy Patinkin's personal cell phone number right now. I just want you to know that.
I feel like whoever stole that watch, he told him he prepared to die.
I hope so.
All right, let's keep this bad boy on a rolling, man. Coming from Duquan Gritty Swint, aka C2.0, aka C2020, he said it's gotten slightly chilly outside, and that he is very correct. And a single leaf has hit the ground with fall in full effect, because that's all it takes is one leaf for.
It's like the Punxsutawney Phil of season of like fall. It's like, oh, the leaf.
Shut it all down.
Don't let it hit the ground, guys. Keep it off the ground.
Someone comes in with a slow motion diving catch to grab that leaf. Fall is in full effect, apparently. And for this topic for the month is, what are your 5 favorite fall beers or other beverages? And boy, we're going to start this off with Jermon Jackson.
Of course you are.
Jermon, does Clear American make a pumpkin flavor?
I actually did just try their tangerine mango. That was pretty good. But yeah, let's get the designated driver portion out of the way here. Well, some of my favorite things to drink in the fall, and you know, that's when I start getting to my hot beverage phase. So one of the things I like to drink is apple cider. That's always really good. I got a couple of teas that I like. I am a bit of a tea snob, so I like there's this Bigelow tea that they make that's green tea with pomegranate. And then there's Tezo makes a wild sweet orange tea that I love. That's one of my favorites. Hot chocolate, of course, but the GOAT for me now, it's funny because when I go to Starbucks, I don't drink coffee at all. I don't like coffee. I don't like the taste of it. But I always get the white hot chocolate from there. It's not even on the menu. It's a secret menu item or whatever. It's like, let me get a tall white hot chocolate. Oh my God, it's like a drink in heaven.
I have downed many white hot chocolates in my day.
Yes.
Quite good.
So smooth.
This man had an orgasmic experience over
I might
Starbucks.
Go get one now. I might just go get one now.
We're going to put this podcast on hold for about 45 minutes while Jermon rushes
Gotta go clean up.
Rush out to the East Boulevard Starbucks. All right, then, cool. Very well done, sir. Get your tea on. I like it. I can get down with that. On my end, I am a beer drinker, and I drink enough for me and Jamon both. That's what I'm here for.
Has the liver of two men.
And I am a seasonal drinker as well. So we are getting into that fall beer time. And I got a couple bands. Sam Adams Fat Jack is a great beer that I can never find these days. I don't know if they even make it anymore, unfortunately. I haven't seen it on the shelves in quite some time. But it is a good like heavy pumpkin flavored beer. I don't like a whole lot of pumpkin flavored things, but that is one of the ones I do. Like Sam Adams Oktoberfest, man. If you got to get something, that's your standard beer that you can drink. Your standard autumnish type beer.
It's pretty reliable.
It's old faithful of fall beers. The Sam Adams Oktoberfest. St. Arnold Pumpkinator. Pumpkinator is also a very good beer, high-ish in alcohol. Southern Tier Warlock, the stout version of Pumpkin, and of course, Pumpkin is the goat of all fall.
That's
beers.
the goat. That's our goat.
It is our. It's the shared blood between myself and Brian Martin. Is our love of Pumpkin. One of our breweries in town, Yancey, has their big Pumpkin release party in a couple days coming up at the time you're listening to this, and I have requested off work for this event.
My liver is groaning as we speak.
My liver is groaning with the pumpkins that I was drinking while I was working this morning, because I had 3 of those bad boys while working this morning. I love pumpkin. As long as your answer does not include Old Mecklenburg Copper, though, that's the only wrong answer here. If you want a jar full of pennies, go for it. Leslie, what about you? What's your
what a mouthfeel.
Well, so you stole a couple of mine.
You're damn right.
I am a beer drinker. I am not really much of a seasonal beer drinker. It's not something that I've gotten that heavy into.
Leslie's like, whatever it is, just give it to me. I don't care what time it is.
Yeah, I like dark beer. I like porters and stouts pretty much all the time. And so this is my top 5 in no particular order.
That you muted yourself.
Oh no!
I thought it was for a dramatic effect.
I did too.
Right?
I thought we were going to put some sound effect in there, like the millionaire sound effect.
I was.
Is it Tupac in it?
Man, I was at the edge of my seat waiting for this list, man. All right, what you got?
So last year I discovered the Guinness Over the Moon Milk Stout. 'Tis delicious. Sam Adams Oktoberfest, as you mentioned, a great staple for fall beers. I also threw in some Angry Orchard crisp apple cider. I do like a nice hard cider. It's not something I've experimented with too much, so I put an Angry Orchard as a, kind of that standby. And then Warlock Southern Tier's Imperial Stout, as you mentioned. Fucking delicious. And I had another beer on there, but I think I will take a page out of Germain's book and go with hot chocolate. Because about now, maybe some hot chocolate with not Kahlua, but like some Irish cream. That's about when I start trying that. Yeah.
I can't remember the brand it was, but I think I did have one of those hard ciders once at Thirsty Nomad when we went to one of those New Year's parties.
New Year's, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty tasty.
Yeah. Hey,
Leslie.
Brian.
Well, go ahead. I was going to say real quick, Leslie. How do you feel about Arnold Palmer's? Not the golfer, the drink.
Good.
They're
Because
both good.
Because Bold Rock makes a half and half hard cider.
Oh wow.
Ooh, I'll have to try that.
And I couldn't get any more of it in the cans. I've just got the tea, like the hard tea cider, but it's nice. Like, I mean,
Okay.
late summer grilling out kind of vibe. Like, it was. I didn't want to tell you how many of those I drank 2 Sundays ago. Like the first day of the football season.
Good man.
I got it was like a 12 pack, and the number I drank prompted Jacqueline to say, "Geez, could you leave some for me?"
It's Sunday. It's football. That's what it's for.
Right. My response was da 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 right in her face.
Terrible. Terrible.
And then I crushed a can against my head and walked away.
What are your go-to fall beverages there, Mr. Martin?
Oh man, as you can imagine, this one was tough for me.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I get the big one out of the way. Pumpkin, get that out of the way first, because I was thinking like I could just make a whole 5 list of pumpkin varieties and just go with it. But I'm just going to go with classic pumpkin, and I'll make a quick mention of the rum barrel aged pumpkin, which will fuck you up.
Yes, it will.
And will fuck you up on Saturday when we go to Pumpkin Fest, and the chai latte pumpkin, which is better than it has any right to be.
All right.
I need to try that.
Yeah.
So pumpkin. I lived in Austria for a year. A lot of just sort of standard Bavarian style beers there. Moved to Sweden. I was in Sweden, found a pub there, and their beer list was online, and I was like, oh God, they got pumpkin. And we were like out the door. We looked like a Chuck Jones cartoon character leaving like a Brian-shaped cloud behind as we motored out to this place. They had 2 bombers left.
Ooh.
The bigger bottles of pumpkin. Yeah. We bought both of them. I didn't care how much it was going to cost. I didn't care. I was like, this was like I'd been in a desert, and this was the oasis. Those bitches were like over $50 a piece.
Oh,
like we went in there and dropped well over $100 on 2 bottles of beer. And I knew I was in for it because the guy we bought it for, like the guy who owned the place, took me in the back and showed me all the bottles they had imported and everything. So I got to go into the storeroom and everything, and I was like, boy, I'm clearly a high roller in this place right now. But I didn't care because it was pumpkin and I needed it that much. So pumpkin's great. A new challenger, pumpkin whiskey, also up there. That pumpkin whiskey is now up there, up on the list.
It's so good.
If I can find a bottle of that at the retail level, I do believe next week you will be talking about me in the in memoriam segment.
What else is in there?
So all right. So then I'm rounding it out with some local Charlotte beers that are particularly good. One, I'm not sure if they made it this year. They made it last year, and it was a new brewery that opened last year, opened by someone who lived in my neighborhood as a kid here in Charlotte, and I was good friends with his sister. Middle James Brewery in Pineville made a cinnamon sweet potato blonde last year. That was just
good.
It was delightful. It was the best thing they made in their first year, I think, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going with a Plea Bargain Pecan Brown Ale from Legal Remedy Brewing in Rock Hill.
Legal Remedy, huh?
Which is another really tasty one. Let's see, and Oktoberfest at Legion, which I drink every week. I'm there for trivia.
Fucking Legion.
and Noda Gorgeous, which is the other local pumpkin beer that's pretty tight. So that would round it out. Pumpkin as a blanket, like umbrella term, and everything that goes with it, and in those 4.
Okay.
All right. Very, very nice. I did not expect us to talk this long about beers, and I love it.
I did. Definitely.
Yeah, speaking of designated driver,
German could have left to go get that drink.
You know what, Javon? Thank you for reminding me, because I had a whole bunch at the various Starbucks I worked for, but it just kind of fell out of my memory. Like, I haven't had one in a minute, man. I'm not when the temperature drops a little bit, man. I got to get back on my white hot chocolate game.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, indeed. All right, let's keep this bad boy on rolling. And yes, Saturday, many shenanigans will be had on Saturday. I cannot wait. Don't come looking for me on Sunday. Is all I'm saying.
They should make T-shirts that say that on them.
Yeah, don't come looking for me on Sunday.
Yeah, right.
That's laying on the couch today. Let's keep it moving. Sweet peanut butter himself. Evan PB asks us, the great Ben Wyatt once said that a film soundtrack is like your favorite director making a mixtape just for you, which is a great quote. What is your favorite movie soundtrack? Not original score, but soundtrack. All right, what's yours?
This was tough. This is a really, really tough one. Because I like immediately within like a minute of thinking about it, I had like 7 or 8 options down. But I think I'm gonna go with one that maybe it's like a movie where the soundtrack is probably more popular than the movie itself, and that was A Life Less Ordinary from 1998, maybe.
Yeah.
Movie is very cool, I think, but it had who was in that?
Was Cameron Diaz in that one?
Cameron Diaz and Ewan McGregor and oh god, who's the one dude?
Danny Boyle.
Oh, well, Danny Boyle
the
directed it. Yeah, Danny Boyle directed it. I'm just trying to remember who the. Oh man, who was the black dude? Delroy Lindo.
Shout out
Delroy Lindo's in it.
Delroy Lindo.
Good. It's an interesting little movie, but the soundtrack is just like amazing. Like it's got Beck is on it, Luscious Jackson, Sneaker Pimps, REM, Cardigans, Squirrel Nut Zippers, Prodigy. It's just Bobby Darin. It's such a crazy soundtrack, but there is literally no bad song on it. Like there's no, like a lot of movie soundtracks, they have that, they lead off with that one big song, right?
Yeah.
And then it just sort of descends gradually into a pit of, these are the D-list music acts that we got to sort of pad out the album. This music from and inspired by, right? But Life Less Ordinary has no dead zones in it. It's really great.
Right on. And what about you there, Leslie?
So I didn't have 7 that came to mind, but I did have a few. And I was fairly torn between 10 Things I Hate About You and the 90s Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Romeo and Juliet. It was, it's just great. I listened to that so much after that film came out. It's got Garbage, Everclear, the Cardigans, as you mentioned, Radiohead, Butthole Surfers. That just it's awesome. It's awesome.
That just sounds like a snapshot of that 90s era music.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right on. And what about you, Jermon? I had an idea of what you might go with, so I came with the backup in case you steal mine.
Same here. I like the number one on my list. I was like, well, Jermon's going to pick that. So.
It's funny because the answer to that question was literally changing up until like 2 hours ago. Like it was there were so many. I mean, there were so many possibles out there. Just some of the soundtracks that I loved over the years, like Purple Rain or the Awesome Mix, of course. But I had to go. Of course, had to go in the Tarantino direction, and I went with Kill Bill Volume 1.
That's on my list. That was on my short list there. Yeah.
Yeah. That. Oh my God. That there was something about that, like Tarantino. Like there's very few directors that just have that gift of just selecting songs that just like speak to you in a movie. And there was something about that Kill Bill soundtrack that just there was like between the Nancy Sinatra, Bang Bang, and then the Twisted Nerve, and even the especially that Green Hornet sample. What is the Green Hornet sample? The Ironside theme that they used when the bride was about to go ham on folks.
Yeah.
then to top that off, you had like selections from the RZA, and I was like, I'm in heaven on this one.
What's the name of the all female rock band? Is it the 567?
The 5, 6, 7, 8s.
Yeah. Right on.
That it's funny because there was just that, and then like one day I was like Saturday Night Fever because I love that soundtrack too. Just some good old Bee Gees like disco goodness. There's so much to choose from. Like,
all right, I would have lost money. I saw it like $100 that you went with Purple Rain.
I had that. That was me too. I knew it. I just definitely. Because obviously that's the correct answer to this question. like objectively, the correct answer to the question is Purple Rain.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes. So I'm going with Purple Rain.
Go for it. See, here's the thing. I thought somebody was going to go with the obvious awesome mix or whatever from Guardians of the Galaxy. So I was like, I'm going to try to stray away from that.
Yeah, the awesome mix was the first thing that came to my head, and I was like, no, someone's going to have that. And then Purple Rain came to my head, and I was like, no, Jermon's going to have that.
We seem to do that a lot. Like everybody tries to like skew away from the obvious answer. Like, it's kind of a good thing, I guess.
Trying to outsmart each other, we only outsmarted ourselves.
Yes.
That's the real lesson here, folks.
Yeah, Purple Rain. Oh my God, man.
Yeah, Purple Rain is just it's dope from start to finish, man. When you have a movie starring a musician about music, you're gonna get a dope musician. You're gonna get a dope ass soundtrack, and that's exactly what it is. And then of course the titular Purple Rain is like, would you call it like a rock ballad? It's like one of the best rock ballads of all time, man.
It's definitely up there, yeah. It was funny because I was just watching that Dave Chappelle thing last night when he got the Mark Twain Award.
Yeah.
And it starts off with like Morgan Freeman of all people out there while they're doing Prince's "Let's Go Crazy." It's like he's talking about "Let's go fucking crazy." Like hearing it from Morgan Freeman, it's like But that made me think. I was like, okay, now my answer is gonna be Purple Rain, but then it's just like literally by like this afternoon, and I was like, no, I'm going Kill Bill. It's like
right on. It's there's no weak spots on Purple Rain. And my backup,
not
just
at all.
in case Jamon hit me with the okie doke and went Purple Rain, my backup was going to be the Blues Brothers soundtrack.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's also a pretty damn good one too. They cobbled together a lot of good blues music.
Even
some of the best.
Even thinking like the Tarantino route, I was like, okay, do I go Kill Bill? Do I go Pulp Fiction? Do I go Django Unchained?
I definitely would have went Pulp Fiction over anything else, I think part of Pulp Fiction, like Tarantino does great picking out music for movies, but I feel like Pulp Fiction, part of the movie is just defined by the music.
Yeah.
Comes out of there.
Yeah, I think these picks all kind of underscore that there's a difference between a typical like a music from and inspired by album and a soundtrack album. You know, like one of them is clearly manufactured by like the film studio or the music studio, and they're like, we're going to shoehorn all these songs in, or like one of the most egregious offenders, I think, is the music from and inspired by the film Mission Impossible soundtrack.
Yeah.
which features exactly one actual song from a band that appeared in the movie, and it's just incidental music that appears at the end. Yeah. And then just it's filled out with a couple of pieces from the score, and then a bunch of just like, who the fuck is this? Why am I listening to this right now?
I'm just like Cranberries.
But there were some really there were some really good like the other ones I had on my list. Scott Pilgrim, the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack, the soundtrack to The Matrix, which caused a lot of reckless driving for me and my friends in 1999. The soundtrack to "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," and the soundtrack to "Singles" was the other one. "Singles," the Cameron Crowe movie from like 1996, that was sort of similar because it had a bunch of 90s, like Everclear was on it, I think. Pearl Jam was on it a couple times. Chris Cornell and Soundgarden, Smashing Pumpkins were there. It's another really, really good album. But
I was kind of thinking back to that era, like especially during the 90s, when they were doing these soundtracks where they tried to shoehorn in the movie tie-ins and stuff, like the Batman Forever or whatever, or what was it? I think it was one of the Addams Family movies where like MC Hammer of all people had a.
Yeah, that was the second one. Yeah, that's the second one. Too legit. The Addams Too legit.
And then, they tried to throw in. He just would throw in like the Addams Family in somewhere in the lyrics or something.
Yeah. And also a special shout out to The Crow.
Oh
well.
yeah.
I think The
Another
Cure
good one.
did a good bit of that, if I remember correctly. All righty then. I think we have one more left.
Two more.
Two more.
Technically,
All right. Young Brad Ledbetter. Speaking of people who make good beer, that would be young Brad Ledbetter hosting apparently an event that I did not know about in a couple weeks called DarylCon.
Oh wow!
In which he's getting a cardboard cutout standout of yours truly to make an appearance instead of just asking if Daryl could show up.
It's like y'all live in the same city. It's like
it's a 15-minute drive, man. I can just show up.
he's like, that's got to be the most narcissistic thing to have a con named after you.
I would like to take the time to remind the listeners this was not my idea.
Granted, at the same time, I would totally do a Jamon con.
You have a whole Jamontourage, sir.
They will all be there. They will all be there.
Standing room only for the Jamontourage. And Brad says, how about this? What was the last movie or show that the algorithm, properly noun, suggested for you that was actually good? I'm at a loss on this one because I host Paprika, so I'm already doing research and finding out what's coming out and so I have a good understanding of what's out there already. So I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to what the algorithms suggest for me because doing reviews and reading reviews, I kind of already know what I will and won't like. But the last thing I can think of that the algorithm suggested that totally slipped by my radar was earlier this year, Hollywood on Netflix was a pretty feisty limited series, man. Was it 8, 10 episodes, something like that? On Netflix, kind of a reimagining of what if Hollywood wasn't shitty and racist back in the 50s? What
as shitty and racist.
Yes, what if they weren't as shitty and racist as they are now back in the 50s? What kind of art might have been produced? And it kind of looks at it from that angle. It seems like a lot of 4 or 5 disparate threads that kind of all come together in those last 2 or so episodes. Well worth it to check out. It might be one of my favorite Samara Weaving performances because she's a delight whenever she shows up in there as well. Go ahead and check that out, man. Hollywood on Netflix. And it's got that good, it's lit like a 50s style movie is too, with that soft Hollywood glow all around it. Go ahead and check that bad boy out. What about you, Brian?
I'm also at a loss because 2 reasons. One, my to be watched list, like my viewing list that's just is full of stuff, is way too deep for me to waste time on things that I don't already know about. So usually when the algorithm recommends something to me, I'm like, yeah, thanks a fucking lot. Maybe I'll get to it in like 10 or 15 years, you jackhole. But the other reason I don't really, the algorithm is kind of, I'm at a loss for it, is because when it comes to something like, say, YouTube, my algorithm has been so screwed up by having a 2-year-old in my house. So my account's linked to the television. And so like if you log into my YouTube account, you'll see recommendations for movie trailers and like fucking Blippi videos. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with who Blippi is.
Nope, don't want to be.
This is a man who has built a career on being a public fucking idiot. And I mean, that could be said of a lot of people, but this guy, I don't understand it. He's just a YouTube guy. The kids love him. I don't know, but like he just walks around and he's a fucking asshole. And don't. And I'm sure I wouldn't feel so strongly about it if it weren't for the fact that half of my goddamn recommendations are Blippi videos. Like, Blippi goes to the zoo. It's like, I don't want to see this fucker go to the zoo. I want to watch like a 45-minute treatise on why the DCEU is terrible. Like, that's what I want to see. So the algorithm, my algorithm is goddamn fucked right now. Jermon.
Well, Jermon,
I'm getting a vasectomy now.
Whatever you gotta do, don't poison the YouTube. Don't poison it. That's why my daughter has her own Netflix shit, so it's not all up in my business poisoning.
Yeah, I still get emails from Netflix, with different suggestions of, hey, you might want to check this out or so and so. And the one time I've actually gone and watched something from there and was pleasantly surprised was of all people, Arsenio Hall. He did a stand-up about last year. That was actually pretty good. I realized, upon watching him after 20 some years, I've actually never seen him do stand-up before.
Me either.
And it was good. It was really good. It was weird seeing, because outside of Coming to America or Harlem Nights, I forgot that he cussed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you don't hear too much on the Arsenio Hall show.
Yeah, but he was making jokes how people would see him, people would see him or whatever, and then like, hey, oh man, I loved you in Blade and stuff like that. And I was like,
oh, poor guy.
Oh, poor guy. All right. Bless his heart. What about you, Leslie? What does the algorithm bless you with?
I sort of do the opposite of what Brian does. I see things and I go, oh, I'm going to want to watch that at some point. And it goes on my list, and it goes on my list to die. And I end up just going, oh, wait, this looks interesting for the random thing that's popped up. But most recently, I would have to say Hannibal, the TV show. I had not watched it while it was on the air. And I mean, Mads Mikkelsen is cool, but I didn't have any plans to watch it. And then Netflix got a hold of it. It popped up on the, you might like. And I was like, well, I mean, I've heard good things about it. I'll check out one episode. And I was in.
Yeah. This is a pretty solid pilot.
Yeah. It just, I didn't know what to expect from it. I mean, I knew it was about Hannibal before he was caught, but I didn't know exactly how it was about him before he was caught. So I found the main character, Will, to be just really engaging. And honestly, the versions of the characters in the show are probably my favorite portrayals, especially Lawrence Fishburne. The character that he played was in both The Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal, but not very memorable in either. And Lawrence Fishburne just brought it to a whole nother level. But yeah, good show. Good show. Good choice from Netflix.
Right on. Good job, Netflix. Good job. Staying relevant somehow. And our final question comes from Melissa Boris. One S in Melissa, please. She said, name a pop culture juggernaut that seems like most people have seen or liked and you've never seen it. She has two, The Simpsons and Law and Order. Never seen a single episode of either show.
How do you make it this far without seeing a single episode of The Simpsons? It's like she's dodging bullets like Neo.
Me and Jermon have enough experience to know you don't mess with Jerry Orbach. You don't mess with Law and Order.
No.
Jerry fucking Orbach.
He'll fuck you from the grave.
Lost us trivia, man. We started off so good, and then Jerry Orbach just derailed everything. Lost our confidence. Thanks a lot, Jerry.
So Jerry Orbach was like Rick James on the couch. He's like, fuck your point.
It was all downhill as soon as that Jerry Orbach question came through. So, Jamon, what's something that you have? I'm assuming she doesn't mean to straight avoid it, but just something you never checked out.
Oh boy, I got to pick of the litter here.
Yeah,
like really, how much time do we have?
Blind spots here.
Yeah, I had a lot to choose from, but I decided to choose, of all things, The Office. I've never seen an episode of The Office. Like, like everybody I know or seen like talks about it, or has talked about it, or made some reference to it, or you see on like some people is like looking for the gym for my Pams. Like I
Every
understood the
dating
reference.
profile.
Yeah, I understand the reference, but I was like, I don't have any clue what these folks are about at all. Like, I don't know what that even means.
I kind of use it as the benchmark when I did have my online dating. If you had that anywhere in your business, nope, on to the next one.
See, I would understand.
It's a qualifier for me.
Yeah, I would understand if somebody was like, "I'm looking for the Joker to my Harley." I was like, "Oh no, that's toxic. Get away."
No.
Hey, I think Jim. I'm not sure much better personally.
Yeah, Jim is not much better from what I've heard of the show. You don't want a Jim to your Pam.
That's not true. Jim was fucking awesome. From someone who actually watched the show, as opposed to you, who has seen like one episode, sir.
Yeah. All I've heard of people like, you don't want to be like a Jim. So what about you there, Leslie?
So I had a couple of things, but went with the one that I have seen literally nothing of, which is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's another one.
Yeah, I have not. I had a roommate who loved it, but never watched it with her. Multiple friends always singing its praises, and I'm not avoiding it. I just haven't ever felt in the mood to sit down and watch it. And then the honorable mention that I've seen bits and pieces of, but not actually watched the Chappelle Show. Let's go on.
Oh!
Whoa!
Oh my God! Record scratch!
I'd like to publicly apologize to everyone. I have not done my job
I'm
all.
literally gathering the DVDs now to bring to you.
To be fair, I thought she was going to say choose our own adventure.
Speaking of Chappelle Show, man, my friend fleeced us good in Korea. I was in Korea when season 2 came out, and right before he left, he was like, "Hey, man, I just want to see the bonus features disc. Can I borrow your bonus features disc?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let me borrow the bonus features disc." Another friend of ours, he's like, "Hey, can I borrow your Chappelle Show season 2? Because I never watched that." And then he fucking moved and left Korea and ended up with a full, complete set of season 2 and bonus features. So now me and my friend are like the left and the right half of the Twix here because I got season 2 and he's just got a bonus features disc. Well played to my friend. What a dick. Mine, man, is Batman the Animated Series.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
that's pretty egregious.
It is pretty egregious. It's a shock to nobody listening. I think that's commonly well known in Paprika, and I'm going to get to it at some point.
Hopefully they'll have that drop on HBO Max when all the DC Universe stuff folds into it.
The sad thing is, I have it. I just haven't watched it. One of these days, I'll get around to it. It's that animation put me off as a kid, and I was like, "What the fuck is this square chin nonsense mess? I'm out." And what was that, like 90? You're looking at like 94, 4?
It was 92. Started in 92.
Yeah.
So that puts me
right after Batman Returns.
At 10 years old, I was like, "Fuck this show." And I never looked back, man. Never looked back. Heard its praises sung, but don't know. Brian, what you got?
Game of Thrones. I've never watched a single episode of Game of Thrones.
I've watched
a single scene of Game of Thrones probably, and I think it was the episode, the I don't know, spoilers, I guess. I found out about it. I don't know what chance you had to not find out about it, but the Hodor payoff.
Yes.
I saw that, and in my head, it just merges with the scene in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone where Hagrid kicks in the door of that shanty they're in. And so it's like, it all just blends together. I don't know. But Game of Thrones, now I could say I've never watched Game of Thrones and people would be like, "Well, I guess you're lucky, right?" But this is back when it was the pinnacle of everything, like 2012-ish, 2013, and everybody's talking about it left and right. And it was too late for me to get in because I automatically have a problem when something is universally praised. When you can't find people criticizing it, I'm like, that sends a flag up for me because it tells me that the fan base is not it tells me that the fan base is not the most reliable source of information about a show.
I would say you didn't look hard enough. There were definitely people criticizing from day one.
Well, they were probably just people that were like, were they people that were like, oh, the books were different?
Yes.
Was it those people? Because I also don't give stock to that because those are the same people criticizing. Those are the same people who were criticizing the third Harry Potter movie, which was objectively the best Harry Potter movie if we're talking about movies.
Harry Potter, that's another one.
But that's another one.
Co-signing everything everybody else.
But yeah, so I didn't watch. I've not seen any of Game of Thrones, and the worst part of that is people would come up to me and be like, "Man, did you see Game of Thrones last week?" And I was like, "Bitch, you just asked me last week, and I still haven't seen any of it. What are you talking about?"
You've asked me every Monday for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I would go to, like, me and some buddies of mine from the comic shop would go to a restaurant, after the shop would close and everything, where it's all sitting around kicking it, and they're talking about Game of Thrones, and I'm just sitting there just like, because, most of the time when you talk about a show or something like that, you want to, like, make sure you're avoiding spoilers for people and stuff. Oh, they were just like,
No.
Nah, he ain't seen it, has no interest in seeing it. We can just talk all day about it. It doesn't mean anything to him.
Terrible, sir. Terrible. But then again, that's not really your wheelhouse, the whole fantasy side of things.
Not really.
What
not
fuck
really.
do you test your might?
Yeah, yes. that and Harry Potter screwed me.
You hate to see it. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up, man. What's everybody nerding out on? Jamon, what have you been nerding out on lately?
Well, outside of the countless hours I've been spending on that new Avengers game, I found this show on Netflix that, like, and it pissed me off because I've, after watching it and really getting into it, finding out it was canceled after 1 season, Daybreak. It was like,
I haven't ever watched it.
Yeah, it was based on some random, like, graphic novel, but it's like this teen high school, like, zombie apocalypse comedy.
Oh yeah.
Where, like, this nuke goes off in Glendale, California, and, like, all the adults turn into, like, bloodthirsty zombies. So all the high school teens, like, basically all the cliques, like the jocks, the STEM kids, the cheerleaders, basically form, have their own turfs in Glendale and everything. And yeah, you can see, like, the jocks wearing all the Mad Max spikes and all this stuff. And it's, like, all kinds of craziness goes off. And, like, if it didn't win me over enough before, like, the 5th episode is narrated by the RZA. Yeah, it's amazing because there's one character in there. He was he used to be a jock and, like, a bully or whatever, and he's trying to atone for his ways, so he becomes a samurai.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Narrated by the RZA, so you will understand 1 word out of 5.
Absolutely. Did it.
Oh, wonderful. Leslie, what are you nerding out on these days?
New Netflix show Ratchet, based around Nurse Ratchet before One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Good. Sarah Paulson, and a few other people whose names I don't know. Good. Well done. It does have a bit of an American Horror Story vibe to it, but I think it's different enough to be interesting and to be good. It's intense.
Did you say Sharon Stone popped up in there?
Yeah, it's got Sharon Stone. She pops in for a plot line. I know there were other names in there that I recognized, but I didn't write them down. My bad.
Right on. What about you there, Brian? What are you nerding out on?
I've been watching Lovecraft Country on HBO with Journey Smollett and Jonathan Majors.
That's
and
Journey Smoothie, sir.
Journey Smoothie. And Michael K. Williams.
I gotta stop
And
myself from saying that just in case I meet her one day. I'm
a little bit smoothie,
pissed.
But yeah, the first couple episodes were threw a lot at you, and it was interesting. But it wasn't until the third episode where I was like, "Oh, this is something special." And then it was the fifth and sixth episodes that were transcendently cool. So it's episode 7, I think, is happening this week. It's already happened for listeners to this show, but yeah, it's pretty wild and interesting so far. I'm very intrigued to see where they're going with it.
I've heard nothing.
Runner up though, I gotta give a shout out to T-Pain, who who this week released a song about Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
Yeah, he's kind of big on Twitch now.
It's literally about Animal Crossing. It's written from the perspective of one of the characters in Animal Crossing, and it is. I've listened to it several times this week. It's pretty remarkable. The man loves Animal Crossing. You can tell.
Surprisingly, that's pretty on brand for T-Pain now. Like when I found out he actually did that song in the Lego Movie 2, like literally the song is called "The Song's Gonna Get Stuck in Your Head."
Yeah.
And I myself am nerding out on The Expanse, I guess I'll say. Yeah. The 9th book, the title of the 9th book, Leviathan Falls, was released last week. They let us know what the title is, to be released sometime in 2021. So in preparation for the final Expanse book, I'm going back and audio booking while I work books 1 through 8 of The Expanse. Almost done with book 1, and then I'll be transitioning right into book 2. So if you want a good sci-fi opera and you haven't checked it out, man, or you checked out the show on Amazon, go ahead and check out The Expanse, man. And that'll do it for the September episode of Choose Our Own Adventure, man. We only got 3 more of these left with our merry band of adventurers, and then that's it. You'll never hear from us again. And
German died in Vietnam.
He does at the end. I have those little.
We'll be back next month, as always, with our October bit of business. So until then, you guys take it easy and have a good one.